what I didn't realize is that my opponent had already started to build a second base over here closer to mine. Now this serves as a couple advantages. One, you're going to see that I'm expecting him to expand here, and so it has an advantage of surprise for him. On the other hand, as a second positive, this also gives him a second place to produce units. Zerg can only build units at their hatcheries. So as long as he's on one base, I know that he can only build 4 to 7 units at a time, and so he has to make decisions as to whether he's going to build attacking units or build economy units. And as you can see up in the unit counties, the production tab, he's building a bunch of Hydralisks and a bunch of roaches and now a queen for this second base. So we can see the roaches starting to gather up, and this short flock of Mutalisks coming in, making sure that I don't have vision of what's going on. But if we switch to my cam, my vision, you can see that I've done a scan here, and oh, that was, I guess, a while ago. Looks like I haven't done that yet. But I lost vision down there on the lower tower, and I'm suspecting that he's going to go for Mutalisks. So I already had an engineering bay built, so I went ahead and built some missile turrets here, expecting the Mutalisks to go for harass. And you can see I've started to tech up. I'm building a factory and up to a starport. Now my Marines and Marauders can use the stim pack upgrade, which I upgraded. I think that was the first thing I upgraded over here in the tech lab. They can use that stim pack upgrade to fire at a faster rate at a cost of some life. But that's why I started building medevacs, is these medevacs can heal my units from that stim pack hit, and Marines are very effective against Mutalisks. Mutalisks are pretty effective as they're fast, and they can do a lot of damage to grouped up units and units that can only attack ground, such as my Marauders and my Planetary Fortress. This fortress can only attack ground units, so I think that's probably why he went for that mixture. Now here I am setting out a Marauder to test the waters, because at this point I know that he's down here. I just don't know what he has. So I'm going to send him down a little bit more. I'm feeling pretty confident that I can defend anything that he sends at me. I'm just trying to goad him out here. I want him attacking and not macroing up. As you see, he's on a second base. Ooh, and look at that. He's not building anything. So he's pretty focused on this attacking force. And here we can see them coming in. Here's his roaches, bringing them in first. I personally would have brought in the Mutalisks here to start banging down on this planetary. He's went ahead for both. So now I've had my Marines ready to go, so they run around here, and you can see them stimming in, running in, and they're just going to make short work of all these Mutalisks. They can pretty much kill them on a one kill pretty easily. So the Mutalisks just evaporate. The roaches were killed off by the planetary. It's pretty damaged here. So now at this point I've killed a bunch of his units. I'm expecting now is a safe time to move out, which is good, because if you look up here, you can see that I'm down to 1 mineral patch, and all of my SCVs are on that one, which is very ineffective. The maximum capacity for mining off 1 mineral patch is 3 SCVs. So I was actually looking for an opportunity to expand as I was basically running out of money. You can see that I'm down to basically no minerals here, and that's a huge problem. So in a way I was very thankful that he came to attack me, as I'm suspecting that that's putting him on the back foot. At least he's going to have to wait a little while to produce units. Now of course at this point I was under the impression that he was still on one base. As you can see from my vision, I can only see one base, and I can still see a stream of units coming in. Now Hydralisks. So he's moving up his tech tree as well. But I didn't realize that he had this second base, and I also didn't realize that he wasn't building any units. So that's a problem on his part, but you know, he's new to the game, so that's expected. So that was pretty exciting. Had a base break-in and was able to hold it off with my new kind of backup strategy of using that command center as a defense. I didn't intend to make it a planetary fortress, but that turned out to be a very helpful strategy. And at this point, I'm going to start macroing up. You see my minerals starting to pour in, and I'll be basically building units out of these barracks and this factory and this starport. So this game has hit the 24-minute mark, and we are getting probably near the end of my time limit for how long I can do a YouTube movie, and I've wanted to keep these videos short and not too long. So let's go ahead and speed up the clock here, take advantage of our replay abilities. So you can see I'm going ahead and upgrading, trying to keep my units upgraded and trying to build things while I'm build things constantly in the background, trying to work on my macro skills, building a bunch of missile turrets, expecting maybe some Mutalisk Harass. So at this point you can see from my vision I did a scan down here to see if he had a base there, and I'm starting to send out these Marines to see where his bases are. So I've sent one down here into this expansion base here, and one over to the other side here. So my Marine dies to a bunch of Hydralisks, and voila, I see a base here. So I'm thinking that this is his first expansion. I don't realize he's actually got a second one already here mining away. So scared off a couple of drones, killed my guy. So now I know that there's a base there. So I start considering that, and you can see I've built 2 more refineries, so starting to do gas off of 4 different refineries. So it came in handy that I had a command center here, and I'm going to go ahead and send up a drop. So I'm trying to keep Zerg back on one base. Of course, if I'd been really thinking about this, he must be on one base because he's still making guys. And I sent a Marine over to this location to actually I'm not even sure why I sent him out there, but regardless, he sent his bunch of Hydralisks up there to hit my Marine, which is interesting because Hydralisks off of the Zerg creep, that's this goopy stuff around the Zerg base, are pretty slow. And so I thought it was also interesting, he was breaking down these rocks. I wasn't quite sure why he was doing that. Maybe he thought that I had a base up here, but I'm going to go ahead and bring down this drop here on the right hand side. He's basically got nothing here, and I knew that his Hydralisks were up here in the upper left hand corner, so I just brought in these Marines to cause as much damage as possible, killing drones and trying to kill this hatchery before his Hydralisks come over. And you can see I'm not macroing at this time, which, you know, that's just, oh, there we go, I'm starting to build stuff. So I'm trying to macro and micro with these units at the same time. So let's go ahead and speed up the clock. So I'm going to bring them out. No need to have them die to a bunch of Hydralisks. And they're just going to hang out here on the right hand side. And with my vision I can see from the Zelnaga tower that there's a bunch of Hydralisks here where they are. For some reason they don't attack this guy, so I've got full vision of where his mass of groups is. And at this point I also sent a guy up here. I was sending her down the other side, and I discovered this from that queen. So I went ahead and dropped down these siege tanks to cause some damage. That ends up drawing the Hydralisks over here when medevac takes off before they can come and kill it. But that means that his Hydralisks are over on the left hand side, which gives me opportunity to come in on the right hand side with this drop down here. I'm going to stim these guys up and bring them in, and as I bring them in, I'll be able to see that he's out of gas here, and he's just building a bunch of stuff here, but my main target is the Hydralisk den. It sure seems that Zergs will tend to build only one copy of each tech building, which leaves them vulnerable. I don't know why they build more, just in case I come in like this. But scared off the units, killed them off, and these guys are going to clean up here. At this point I'm looking at endgame. I'm thinking he's down to nothing. Or just one base over here. On my side, if you look at my vision, I can see that he's got one base here, cleaning up this base, so now he's down to one hatchery. He's only going to be able to build 7 units at a time. And whoa, okay, going a little too fast here. Let's rewind this a little bit. So at this point I'm thinking I'm pretty safe. and I bring down this big old army with a ton of medevacs, a bunch of Marines and Marauders. So at this point I basically A-moved, and so these guys streamed out in a line, which turned out to be very convenient, as they formed a nice little concave here, which puts me at an advantage as I had far more guys than they did. And you can see that these medevacs are healing the Marines and Marauders as they're getting damaged, which is pretty powerful. And as we speed back the clock up, I come up here to finish off this base, and my opponent leaves the game, and I achieve my 100th league game and win my first game in the second season of the Blizzard Ladder. So I hope this was an enjoyable game. It was a pretty fun game for me, pretty intense there when I had almost a repeat of last time, but was very happy to learn from my previous game and come out with the win this time. That'll be it from Starcraft Dad, so we'll talk to you guys next time.